I, F33, have been married to my husband, Jacob, M33, for almost 12 years. We got together when we met at a party where I was invited by a client that I worked for as a reward for getting them a large tax rebate. I am a tax consultant for a large firm of accountants. I started off as a junior for the firm, and I have managed to work my way up the ladder to be a senior partner in my firm, which is a respected role. My dad, Henry, 60, is a banker, and he has made a really good life for us. He moved here from Jamaica years before I was born to get into university, and he worked his way up to be a senior executive for a large bank. He always taught me that if you wanted something in life, you had to work hard for it. Now we come to my husband and his family. My husband is from a family that has links to royalty. I know this is hard to believe, but it is true. He is not high up in the royal family, but his family has a hereditary title that is passed down to the eldest child. At the moment, the title rests on his dad, and he is, on paper anyway, a baron. One of the perks of this is that their family owns a large property that was converted into a hotel years ago to help with funding, as it dates back to normal times and old properties need a lot of upkeep. My husband works for his dad, as does all this family, as that is the family way. My firm was taken on to do the accounts, and my husband and I started dating and eventually got married. We have 2 children, Maisie, F10, and Izzy, F8. As you have probably worked out from my dad, I am a woman of color, and so my children are mixed races. My husband is white British. My in-laws have never liked me. They played it off that they were not racist and insisted it was because I was not from the same social class as they were, and they had to keep up a certain standard in their marriages. I have always ignored them and just got on with my life, but as time has gone on, they have gotten worse and much more obvious with their racism, not only towards me, but towards my daughters. While I can handle it when it is about me, I will not have my girls raised in that kind of environment. Now here is my dilemma. What do I do about it? I love my husband, and we have always had a good relationship despite my in-laws. But recently, I feel as though he is moving more into this thinking and aligning himself more with them and against me. We live in the hotel, as it is large enough to have private rooms put aside for family. Early in our marriage, I asked my husband if we could move into our own home and have some privacy, as there is no privacy from his family, as they also have rooms here. At first, my husband seemed willing to think about it, but when he was raised with his parents, they made such a fuss that my husband said that we had to stay where we were. Apparently, this is the family home and is a sign that they are important, so they will not move. His dad likes to say that an Englishman's home is his castle, and as they are related to royalty, they should live in a house that is appropriate for their standing. I did not say anything, but I did roll my eyes in private and think, if it was that important, why had they turned their precious house into a hotel? They also host weddings here, and they make a massive deal about how their lucky couple is getting married in a house that belongs to a royal family. It is sickening. My MIL Marion, 60F, and FIL Edward, M61, like to dress as though they are going to a gala every single day, and my FIL is never seen without his full suit and matching pocket watch on a chain. If it were not my life, it would be hilarious. My husband is expected to dress to match his social class, and so he also dresses like a country squire. I am not sure his family knows which century we are living in, both in the way they dress and the way they treat people who work for them, especially if they are not white and British. The hotel employs a lot of staff, and they are treated terribly. Their wages are only at the minimum wage, and the women are expected to wear old-fashioned servant outfits, complete with cloth hats. I have mentioned that it is degrading for them, but no one cares. I am not allowed to work at the front desk, not that I want to, and my FIL requested that I use the back entrance into and out of the building, as I am not staff or real family as I married in. The same applies to my daughters. We creep in and out of the back doors like servants, and, to my shame, I have put up with it to keep the peace. Things came to a head recently when a large family event was planned when my husband's sister, Arabelle, F29, got engaged, and they decided to throw a huge party and invite people from the upper classes. No expense was to be spared on this party, and they were closing the hotel for the weekend to accommodate the guests. Staff were told they would be expected to work extra hours and would be given a room to rest in, so they were always on the property. As you can imagine, that went down really well. I was actually looking forward to it until I was told by Arabelle that I would not be coming, and neither would my daughters. I asked why, and she said that she had a certain image to portray and that she did not want me there. It was, she said, her party, and she could invite whoever she wanted. I complained to my husband, expecting support, but there was none. He even suggested I go to my parents for the weekend. Now here is my dilemma. I have the ability to ruin the whole weekend, and I am so tempted to do so. As I mentioned, I am the accountant for the family. They would have preferred someone else, but they bit down their distaste that I am not the right color, because I was doing their books for free as part of the family. So I know how their finances are looking. They are terrible. For all their gushing about being part of the royal family, they are broke. The hotel barely makes any money, and what money they make, they spend trying to make themselves look upper class and important. My Fael suits are handmade and cost more than my whole clothing budget for a year. I have told them that they are living beyond their means, but they would never listen. And now there is a real risk that if they spend without limit on this party, they will not be able to fund the hotel for the rest of the year or even pay the vendors, as I have seen in the quotes. The money is just not there. I talked to my husband about this tonight, and I was told that it was not my place to comment on the amount of money they were spending, and I was obviously trying to cause trouble as they had plenty of money. After all, they were a titled family. I have a few options right now. I could let them go ahead with it and keep my mouth shut and watch the fallout, or I could embarrass them by making it public just how broke they are. I have seen the figures for this event, and they will not be able to pay half the vendors without loans or cutting money from other places. If they cut the budget, it will not be from the things that look like they are still rich. It will be from the staff and from the smaller vendors, and that does not sit right with me. I am tired of their racist comments and making me and my daughters feel like we are not good enough. So, what do? Keep my mouth shut and leave them to it, or be true to myself and expose them at the cost of my marriage. Top comments. Maddie232. Expose them. They are not living in the real world, and people like them will always look down on the little people and the people who work for them. They are a joke, trying to act like they are better than everyone else when they are broke. Maybe it is about time that someone took them down a peg or two. If I were you, I would expose them. Take your daughters and get out of there. Your husband is a disgrace for not sticking up for you. You are his wife, and he should be protecting you against their vile opinions. Do you want your daughters to grow up in that situation and always feel like they are not good enough? Get out of there, girl. Jared23. This is so fake. I read a lot of these, and there is no way that you are married to someone in the royal family. If they are part of the royal family, why do you not have any money? You are just trying to make yourself look important and make other people look bad by playing the race card. I have never read such a fake story in my life. If it were this bad, you would have left by now. Why would your husband have married you in the first place if his family was racist? They would not have allowed it. Get a life and stop making things up for the internet. I bet you are not even married. You are probably like 12. Grow up and get a life. Update. 1. I knew that someone would tell me I was making it all up, so that was not unexpected. Believe me, I wish that I was making it up, but this is my reality and what I am living with every day. I am not making this up, but feel free to think that if that makes you happy with your own life. So I have a really good idea about the whole thing, and I have decided that for my sake and for the sake of my daughters, I have to do something. The date for the party is getting closer, and I am sick of hearing about how amazing it will be, how many high-class people will be attending, and how I have to tell my daughters that they cannot go. I had been sitting on the fence about whether to be the bigger person or not and maybe take my girls away for a lovely weekend, so that they did not need to see the party going on without them. But I am not sure that running away and pretending that the family is not treating us like lower-class citizens is the right thing to do. In the comments, someone mentioned that they are living in a fantasy world, and I think they are right. You see, my in-laws and my husband have never looked at the financial situation. They have never needed to, as someone has always done it for them. Before me, they had a paid accountant, but they got rid of him when my husband and I got married, as I would be doing the same job for free. I did point out that, in reality, they should still be paying for my services, but they just laughed and said that I was family, and family does not charge each other. Of course, I was family when it suited them, but I am not family when it comes to mixing with their friends. My brain has been going round and round in circles, trying to decide what to do. However, 2 nights ago, I overheard something, and I think that my decision has been made and any doubts I had have been pushed away. I was going to just let their friends know that they were broke and that I have been picking up the slack for the shortfalls in their money, as, although they treat me like scum, it was never in my best interest to not help out. My girls needed somewhere to live. They needed food and school uniforms, and we needed money to live off. I loved my husband, and so it seemed like the right thing to do. I expected that one day he would come to his senses and see that it was not fair how we were treated, but it just gets worse. So when I heard my MIL talking to Arabelle about inviting eligible ladies to the party to tempt my husband away from me, I decided enough was enough. They seem to think if he meets a woman from a good family, he will divorce me, and then they will not need to be ashamed of the stain on their family line, meaning my mixed-race children. I am done with the lot of them, and they will pay for the misery they are causing me and my girls. Update 2. I did what I needed to do, and I have no regrets, although I have a feeling that the family will try to make me pay for this. I kept my head down in the run-up to the party. I was all sweetness and light, and when my husband suggested that I do it to my parents as the party might be too much for the girls, I made it seem that that was the best idea that I had ever heard. He would have suspected something if I did not suggest we take the girls to my parents and I return to the party, so I did that. And it was fun watching him try and find a good excuse as to why that was not a good idea. I do not think that he has any idea that they are going to try to set him up with another woman, because if I am totally honest, my husband is nice to look at, but he is as dumb as a pile of rocks, which is why he does whatever his parents tell him to do. I had 2 ideas as to what I was going to do, and I was not sure which one I was going to do, but I am leaning more in favor of going all in and ruining their night completely. So this is the plan. Thankfully, my in-laws would never lower themselves to going on something as common as an online group, so I am safe here. Also, as half of you think I am making this up, I can tell you what I think, and it most likely won't be believed anyway. So, this is the plan. In my in-laws' eyes, I am not good enough for them or their son. If they had their way, I would be working in the kitchen, where my kind belongs, and so I am going to give them their wish. I will leave with my girls and take them to my parents, but then I will be going back to the house with some of my friends from before I was married and my brothers. We will be changing in the staff rooms, and I will be a maid for the evening, carrying trays of drinks, serving food, and being a good servant. Their friends know who I am. They were at the wedding, so they will see me and ask what is happening, and that is where I will play my cards. I will tell them that unfortunately, the family is broke, and because they could not pay for staff, we have to serve our betters so that they can have the party. I will lay in bed knowing that this is my life, and they always make me work like this as well as my real job. I will ask them not to tell anyone, as I will be punished. You know, the meek, hard-working wife. It will be glorious. Or is it too much? Marion. Update 3. I have taken a few days to process what happened at the party before I wrote this, but it went as I expected for the most. But there were some bits that I could never have expected. I was in the staff rooms in good time to get changed, and I sent a lot of the real staff home and guaranteed that they would still get their wages for the evening. After all, I am the one who deals with the finances. We got changed into our servers' outfits, and we waited for the party to start. The few remaining staff were people whom I also considered friends, and who thought what we were doing was hilarious, and also what the family deserved. The staff that my husband would recognize did all the welcoming, so no one would be suspicious until the main event. Once the majority of the guests arrived, my plan kicked into action, and my family members went out with trays of champagne. You could see the confusion on the faces of the friends of my in-laws, and every time I handed over a glass, I said, quite loudly, "Unfortunately, the family is broke, which is why we need this wedding to take place for the money. We can't even afford staff, and the family told me that I needed to do it, as this was my place in the family." This was repeated over and over, and you could feel the mood in the room changing. Finally, my mill saw me, and she flew over, demanding to know what I was doing. I played it all innocent and said that as they were in such debt, there was no money to pay for the party, and I was not going to cover their debts any longer. This was my last gift to them. I was serving them as they had always wanted me to do. My husband stormed over, furious, but I was so done with them all. I told my husband that they were trying to set him up with a richer woman, and she was welcome to him. Once chaos had set in, I put down my tray, motioned to my family and the staff, and we left. It was glorious until the next day when I had to face the music. My in-laws called the police and said that they suspected that the fake staff by which they meant myself and my family, had stolen from them, and they suspected that their money issues were all due to me siphoning off the family money over the years. I was shocked when I opened the door at my parents' house and 2 police officers were standing there, looking very serious. Once they explained why they were there, my parents were furious, but I told them it was fine as I had nothing to hide and I could show the police the accounts from the family if they wanted to see them. They did. I agreed to go into the station and give a statement and provide all the evidence that afternoon. The next shock was when I got a phone call from a number that I did not recognize. I was reluctant to answer it, but I did, because I did not think that my dad could get much worse. To my surprise, the man who was supposed to be marrying Arabelle asked if I would meet him to talk. I was not sure if it was a good idea, as it might be a setup, but I decided that I would go. My brother, Jackson, I'm 30, is going to come with me and sit at a different table, just in case I need him. And so, dear readers, the plot thickens. Update 4. This will be a longer update than some of my others, as a lot has happened in the last couple of weeks. I was going to come home after I met with Arabelle's finance, now ex-fiancé, but I needed to sort out some things, and it made more sense to wait. I am still getting messages from people telling me this is all fake, but I am beyond caring now. You can believe what you want, or not. So I dropped off a massive amount of paperwork with the police with all the accounts, the letters from people the family owed money to for work on the house, and anything that I could find that showed that their financial situation was dire. At my dad's suggestion, I also provided them with copies of my bank statements and payslips to show that the only money I had was from work, and it also showed the large amounts that I was paying out to the people who owned money and the staff from my account when there was no money on the family account. You would also see in the family account that they were still spending money as though they were millionaires, thanks to credit cards and store credits because of their family name. I was through covering for them and helping them. Following my meeting with the police, I went to meet Ben, M31, who was supposed to be marrying Arabelle. He was already at the restaurant, smiled when he saw my brother escorting me, and asked if I did not trust him. I said I did not trust anyone from the family anymore, especially after they reported me to the police for stealing their funds. Ben said that he wanted to talk to me about that and whether everything I had said was true, as Arabelle had fed him the same story that I was the bad person. I had my laptop, so I showed it to him. I said I was sick of covering for them when they were racist and treated me, and my daughters are lower-class citizens because they thought they were special due to their ancestor gaining a title, which meant nothing today. Ben chuckled and said he also had a title, but he did not flaunt it as it was an old family one, and as I said, they did not mean much in the modern world unless you were a top royal. Once I showed him all my evidence, he nodded and asked if he could meet me again sometime later to talk about things. I said that would be fine, and he left. My brother rolled his eyes from across the room as he said we were flirting, which is not true. Ben is handsome, but I am married, at least for now. I plan on issuing divorce papers soon. I was worried that in the divorce I would end up having to give my husband money as I am better off than he is, but that is a bridge I will need to cross when I get to it. My focus now is to make sure that my girls and I are safe and have somewhere to live. We can stay with my parents for a while, but it is not a long-term idea. I will start looking somewhere now that I am 100% sure that my marriage is over. I think I have known for years that it was in trouble, but there was a part of me that just did not want to accept it. I think I also wanted to prove something to my in-laws, that my husband loved me for who I was and that he did not have the same prejudices as they had. My family has been telling me for years that I was delusional, but I wanted a family unit for my children. Now I see my husband as bad. And it is better to raise my girls as a single parent than have them subjected to racism and hate. I don't know what my future holds, but I am sure that it is better than if I were still with my husband. There is no way they can pin the loss of money on me because the police have all the proof that it was them being greedy and spending money they don't have. Maybe I have acted like a child in many ways over the last few weeks, getting my revenge and being petty, but I don't care because I felt really good. Update 5. I did not think I would ever add to this, as I was happy with my decision and what I did. But randomly, I got a message asking if things had worked out for me, so I thought I would come and finish off the story. It is not fully over as I am still going through my divorce, and my ex-husband is fighting tooth and nail to get as much as he can out of me. I do not think it will go as he thinks it will, as he has said multiple times to his solicitor, and in correspondence with me, that he does not want any contact with his daughters. He believes wrongly that they cannot possibly be his as they are not pale enough. When my solicitor told me that, he was actually speechless, as I am very dark, and my girls are a lot lighter skinned than I am. I said to my solicitor that it would be his parents behind this, as they do not want their bloodlines sullied. It is going to be hard for my girls to know that their dad does not want them, but to be honest, I think it is better they find out now what kind of man he is and not get their hopes up that he will ever be a good father. As I will be the sole parent of my girls, I am in a good position to protect my finances and will happily let him stand down from his responsibilities. Arabelle's engagement went up in smoke, and Ben dumped her faster than you could say gold digger. He did his own investigating and found that I was telling the truth about their money situation, and that she was only with him to try and save the family house and lifestyle. Of course, I am being blamed for this. And it doesn't help that Ben and I have been spending a lot of time together. He is intelligent, handsome, and great to talk to. I really hope that we will make this work, and I have no need for his family money. I have my own. The girls and I have a lovely new home, and I changed the girls to a better school. We are all happy. My husband and his family are not. They have to sell the house to pay back debts, and it has been somewhat of a scandal among the well-to-do. My solicitor is also chasing repayment of all the money I invested in the hotel. I feel sorry for the staff as they lost their jobs, but I am helping them find work and giving glowing references. I wish I could give you full closure, but it is not finished yet. I am happier than I have been in years, and as far as I am concerned, I am starting my new life, and I wish nothing but the worst for my racist ex-husband and his family. They are now scorned by all the people they tried so hard to impress, and it is brilliant to see their names dragged through the mud. My advice would be to know your worth and never settle for anyone who doesn't love every part of you. Top comments, A. Jared. I have commented on this before, and I still do not believe a word of it. You are obviously a sad, attention-seeking woman who is trying to blame your husband and his family for your own failings. It makes me so mad to see people trying to blame everything on race and/or sex. Sometimes it is just because you are a person and you deserve what you get. I hope that your husband takes you for everything in court, if this is even true, which I doubt. You need help, lady. Reply from OP. Are you my husband because you sound just like him? Your opinion does not matter to me. Go and bother someone else. Troll. Get them told, girl. Jared sounds like an utter delight. He is obviously of the opinion that everything is always the woman's fault. I have lived around people who have been really passively aggressive towards me because I am mixed race and always start conversations with, I am not racist, but. If you have to start a conversation like that, then 100% of you are racist. I have followed your story but never commented, and I am so happy that you and your girls are free of that negative environment, and you made them pay along the way. Raise your girls to know their worth and always know your own.